So what I was trying to start with is we do this instrumentation stuff and all this software down here. When we do that, we're operating inside an environment that gives us the world and the physics that we work with. And that comes from Lockheed Martin. It's called Prepared, but it looks like 3D at the end, right? So Lockheed Martin Prepared gives us most everything we need for the physics, and we read data out of that to make our instrumentation. So the problem we had with AOA was a discrepancy between how the guys that do it at Garmin and any of these AOA companies versus how we have to do it. They're deducing AOA by looking at pressure differentials from a special pitot tube and everything else. We don't have that. We have none of that. What we do have is what Prepared tells us the angle of attack is of the wing at any point in time.
Sure.
So we have an actual digital readout of the AOA. The problem is that may or may not match what the real airplane's AOA is that we're simulating. So we have a lot of now introduction of variables that make this instrument hard to make work the way the real one works.
You start to get it? Now I understand why,
yeah. So what we did is we flew a variety of approaches in different configurations, mostly in the normal configuration with flaps down, power settings correct, and found out what it was telling us it thinks the angle of attack is in that configuration.
Okay.
We tagged that angle of attack number and assigned it to a bar on the gauge, right. The one with the donut.
Yeah.
And then in all the other phases of flight, we took it all the way up to full stall and down to where we had no possibility of stall, and allocated angles of attack to each of those bars. So we can calibrate it to any of those. And if somebody thinks it's off, we just change the numbers we have assigned to a bar, right? But we're limited to the numbers that Lockheed's telling us. So any discrepancies between how it would really fly in an airplane and how it flies here is because of that.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure you have that in your head before we start playing with it.
Got it.
Got it?
Got it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Makes total sense. How quaint a yoke.
Yeah.
It's really rare to find yokes in experimental airplanes these days. Why? Because they're much more mechanically complicated.
Yeah, somebody has to put it together.
Yeah. I mean...
Oh, can you hit this for a second, and then I'm going to let you take over.
Whatever.
I just want to be able to describe something to him.
When it first comes up, it's pause. So you got to unpause, and then you go back.
I need to practice a song and dance for this part because we have to wait.
Because it's going to do its reset. Yeah, I know. The old SMS, which was originally designed in the mid-'70s, shuttle mission simulator.
Yep.
Resets took longer than an approach from 5K. So
when I started my company doing this, Redbird had a certain support guy that had been there until about a year ago.
Yeah.
He has gone off to Virgin. He's gone off to Virgin Galactic, and he's the director of their sim operation now.
Gotcha.
Anyway, we've mounted it up here, kind of like you would mount it on a dashboard.
Yep.
From this point forward, I'll let Jason fly.
Yeah, speak loud so we can all hear it.
Okay. So the instrument is here. It's just a simulation of the Garmin GI260. We can make that look like anything, but that's not a quick change. It's a graphical change. So there's code involved there. But as I said earlier, we're taking the data from Lockheed software. I do have a setting that we can do after Jason flies. I can turn on the actual digital readout of the angle of attack. That's not something that exists in the real instruments, but I do that. That's how I calibrate it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can see it if you ever need to adjust it.
Yeah. Right.
But with that knowledge, jump in here and fly for a little bit. And what I would suggest is get in there, for starters, get yourself configured for an approach to landing just in the air. Just do it up here.
Yeah, I always introduce people to AOA just by saying, we're just flying level. I just want you to slow it down and let's do a power off stall.
Yep.
and just watch this indicator as it does it.
Yeah. Now, the one other thing I want to add is about the stall characteristics of these Redbirds.
Okay.
Well, of Lockheed Martin, not the Redbird. So every simulator that's using Lockheed Martin software is going to be subject to the same thing. They're really designed as a task trainer for regimes of flight that are more normal. When you get into stalls, it's not going to stall like a 172 will stall. I can't get it to flip over if you're cross-controlled and you do something stupid. Not in its natural form. But remember I said we write software that's behind this thing?
Right.
We can take over the flight dynamics. So if it ever comes to the point where we want to simulate something more dynamic, we can do that. But that takes a whole other level of work, and we didn't have time in this.
In
We
order
don't
for-
need that.
We don't need any of that.
We don't need that.
Matter of fact, as long as it looks like it's stalling,
Right.
That's it.
that's when we're done.
That's my opinion too.
That's right.
But I did sit in here yesterday and saw 3 different flight instructors trying to put through a regime of stall experiments.
Tell them to go get a cup of coffee.
Or go get in the real airplane, right?
Right.
This is a simulator.
Right.
So that's the limitations. With that, I'm going to step back and let you fly.